Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. This battle went about swiftly, especially with the illusionists Wei and Demon Lady. They easily affected the four Lei Quan warriors. Only the captain Tai Wo had to clash head-on with the strongest of the group over and over as he could block the illusions. No. I can't accept this, I can't accept this. The skinny Lei Quan warrior was almost mad, roaring in his language with his final breaths. He wanted to survive, but under the pressure of the law domain, his fleeing speed was greatly reduced, he couldn't flee at all. Even if he wanted to, he couldn't. He could only fight. And he couldn't win the fight, he could only die. There was no other choice. Rumble. With Tai Wo's third punch, the skinny warrior was reduced to a mess of meat. His internal world within crumbled as well, as countless items appeared. Quickly keep the spoils and we'll go. Tai Wo ordered. Yes. The 9 sector lords swiftly collected all the goods before leaving swiftly, taking the ship and flying away, at sublight speed. Within a few minutes, a few other race teams had arrived at the scene. Our allies are dead. The culprits sure fled fast. The other teams all checked about before dispersing. The percentage of falling in the outer region wars was simply too high, especially an area like Shattered Stars with so many other warriors, the death rate was shocking. The many warriors that came here were all used to it. Within the ship, our spoils are not bad. Tai Wo said, that Lei Quan race left us many items, everybody split them. The strongest one was killed by you, Captain. Whoever killed him has the right to decide. Captain, you pick. The tall and sturdy hammer said with a deep voice. I want his long pike. You guys can split everything else. Tai Wo kept the thunder pike. As an undying, his perspectives were much higher. The group went through the goods. Madman, you. Do you want anything? Luo Feng sat in the sofa and drank the wine, shaking his head. You guys go ahead, I don't need them. That's the manner of a strong warrior. Demon Lady winked at Poison. Little Chen Chen, you should show off such manners too, don't compete with us. Do you think my potions are free? Poison grasped tightly on the world ring, and began to search through the large amount of items, collecting whatever was valuable. After checking a while, he took 2 items and tossed it to Demon Lady. You guys go ahead, I'm done. Damn. Stingy fellow. Vicious, the best have been taken away. Mad Wu, Wei and God all looked with despise at Poison. Actually, after all the things they had been through, they were long life or death brothers in arms. This little argument was nothing but their show of affection towards each other. As for the distribution of spoils, they had their own rules that they followed. Against their condescending gazes, Poison didn't seem ashamed at all. Instead, he was satisfied. I'm not Madman, he is a new recruit and he already has the strength to defeat an undying. Even if he wasn't a core member of the 5 Leviathans, he'll definitely be a favored disciple of an absolute warrior. He definitely has plenty of treasures, he wouldn't care about such little things. Madman, am I right? Luo Feng smiled. Since entering Kangbird Star till now, no one had recognized his true identity. It wasn't strange. The number of humans was simply too much, there were all sorts of appearances, and only a few actually watched the genius battles. Hence, many had probably forgotten it already. Secondly, over 4,000 years had passed and Luo Feng's strength and power had all changed completely. He was young and tender back then, however after training in the beast god path, he was like a ferocious beast even when relaxed. When unleashed it was even more terrifying. After 4,000 years, it had a huge change on a person. Thirdly, Luo Feng had changed his appearance slightly too. He had changed his color slightly to give off a different look. Even if his overall look was the same, the slight changes would make him unrecognizable. His energy and looks had all changed. Who would have expected this to be the same star-level punk from 4,000 years ago, for him to suddenly be a sector lord pinnacle with the strength to match an undying? Luo Feng and their team sat in the C9 grade ship and carefully explored, dodging the powerful enemies and swiftly dealing with those they could. Each battle was extremely short, they fled right after it was over. In the blink of an eye, they had already explored for about half a year, with 11 bloody battles. 3 of them were more dangerous. Mad Wu and Wu were heavily injured before, luckily Luo Feng saved them. Madman, I owe you my life too. Within the ship's resting room, Mad Wu came out of the world ring and expressed his gratitude to Luo Feng. Even if didn't save you, poison would have done so. Luo Feng said. Don't talk about me, even if I did, I would have paid quite a high cost. Poison shook his head, as he sipped his wine in the sofa. Having Madman sure is good, with his Nanshan armament, passing through the slits of space instantly, its speed is shocking. It's extremely good for saving teammates. Since the enemies usually focus on the captain, thinking he's the most important, they never actually focus on Madman. They don't really care about sector lords. God's smile was like the sun. With no one holding up Madman, the 3 dangers before, if Madman wasn't there, would have to go all out. But with him, it was much easier. With him attacking, it spoilt all the enemy's plans, messing them up, allowing us to flip the tables. Rock however sat quietly in the corner, only occasionally making a sound. Luo Feng glanced at him, he could feel his depression. Rock had joined the team with him. When he became the second most important person next to the captain, Rock still required assistance occasionally from the other older members. Naturally he would feel depressed. He was filled with confidence before as a genius. However, in front of Luo Feng, he had lost his shine. A few more setbacks and he'll awaken. Luo Feng thought, Barbata, how many points do I have? Including the 2 you just defeated, you've accumulated 32 million contribution points. Barbata said. The 2 I killed just now only added 11 million. Luo Feng shook his head within, so stingy. It was. After he had killed the first Lei Quan warrior, including the 12 bloody battles over half a year, as well as the many warriors he had killed, according to how his points increased, he got a good understanding on the system. Killing a normal sector Lord Soldier alone was 100,000 points. Killing an elite sector Lord Soldier alone was 1 million points. Killing a sector Lord General alone was 10 million points. And this was killing them alone. If others helped, the points would be split, and he'd only get a portion of it. Luo Feng had naturally dealt with the more powerful opponents, he killed mostly generals and elites, hence he accumulated 32 million. One normal sector lord would give a lowest point of 1 million. This means, he'd have to kill 10 opponents of his level to complete his quota. Luo Feng thought. Always fighting against others just as strong, to the new recruits, going through this life or death struggle at least 10 times. Luo Feng shook his head. Of course, the stronger one was, the higher the requests were. The army gave him the limit of sector lords to accumulate 1 billion contribution points. The virtual universe company however gave him 10 trillion. Not leaving the team and killing normal sector lords like that, even 10,000 years, or 1,000,000 years wouldn't be enough. Luo Feng thought. What's more, there aren't any sector lord generals for me to kill. One army usually only has so few sector lords. It's obvious the virtual universe company is forcing me to kill undyings. In the virtual universe company's point of view, the disciple of the primal chaos city leader should be able to kill undyings at sector lord level. In this half a year, their team had returned to the base 3 times and rested for 10 days to half a month. One more battle and we'll return to rest. Tai Wo said. Yes. After we kill them, we'll head back to rest. The members all laughed, relaxed. They carefully scouted for enemies. After 8 hours had passed, they found their target. A completely jade green ship was flying within Shattered Stars system. A living ship was actually one that was commonly seen in the universe. However, it was more mainstream only within the demon clan etc. As for humans and automatons, they mostly used alloy and metal ships. The living ships and the metal ships all had their pros and cons. Within the control room, standing at 1.6 meter tall, a completely red scaled life form extended its claws and grabbed a glass of wine and sipped. Beside him stood another that looked exactly alike. The two of them gave off fire law ripples. Two captains, the swallowing is complete, the living ship has reached 100% completion. A smaller sector lord said respectfully. The two captains nodded. 20 sector lords were gathered within the control, all of them were obviously from the same race. Even though they were all about 1.3 meter to 1.7 meter tall, their eyes were vicious and their bodies covered in scales, their elbows and knees sharp, it was obviously a race proficient in battle. The scanning device has detected battle ripples. One stronger-looking undying being said. Get close. Another scaled being immediately ordered, also scan their strengths. In just 10 seconds or so. We've already discovered their ripples, there's an undying and the rest are sector lords. The stronger-looking being said excitedly, just one undying. Prepare for battle. The other one immediately stood up and roared. 20 sector lord scaled beings all stood up, armor appeared on the surface of their bodies. Weapons appeared in their arms and their eyes were mad and bloodthirsty. Fu Wei-san, the target's scanning device should be lousier than ours, they haven't detected us. The stronger-looking undying being said solemnly. HM. The intrepid scaled being nodded, his gaze sweeping over the 20 sector lords. Children, the targets haven't detected us, we'll sneak in. Remember, you all have to stick close to Tuolu, that way our scanning device can jam theirs and make them unable to detect us. Yes. The 20 sector lords all seemed to be frantic to go. Distance shrinking, 10 million kilometers, 8 million, 6 million. The stronger-looking undying said softly. Slowing down. The one called Fu Wei-san ordered. The living ship swiftly stopped. All get off, we'll fly over. Fu Wei-san ordered. Immediately 20 bloodthirsty sector lord scaled beings all rushed out. The other two undyings followed. In space, Luo Feng and their team were engaged in battle with another team. Without a doubt, Luo Feng's team had the advantage as the enemy had only 2 sector lords remaining. Luo Feng gazed into the distant black blur, enemies. Taiwo's scanning device was only worth 120 mixed elements. Maybe it was better than the Lei Quan race's device. However, amongst the undying, there were many that had devices better than Taiwo's. Luo Feng's scanning device was much more advanced, with his status, with a huge discount, he bought one at 3.9 million points. The auction of that same device would hit up to over 10 million mixed elements. Hence, when they were 1 billion kilometers away, Luo Feng's scanning device had already detected them. The only thing was he didn't care too much, as it was very likely that they were simply passing by. However, as they drew closer and began to head in their direction, Luo Feng understood that they had been discovered. Small things. Luo Feng thought, his inherited memories had allowed him to know of these creatures. Chiosha race, one of the tens of millions of energy life forms, bloodthirsty and enjoyed swallowing other life forms, they are very brutal. Just like the rock life forms, some had souls while others didn't. The blood and flesh life forms, some had weaker bodies while some had bodies stronger than even the metal life forms. One theory was that the energy life forms, as one of the powerful life forms, had all sorts of creatures. Some were well known for assassination, like the Mosha clan, standing at the pinnacle of the energy life forms. However, there were others more commonly seen like the Chiosha race. They had terrifying soul attacks, but couldn't change their forms like the Mosha, stuck in fixed forms. However, the moment they exploded their bodies, they could still reform it. This was a power of the energy life forms. However, every time they exploded, the harm to their bodies was huge. And also, they swallowed other life forms, using them to replenish their energies as they absorb. This was also a power of the energy life forms. Swallowing living bodies, there were many in the universe that enjoyed doing so. In the distance, the scaled beings were suppressing their excitement as they drew closer. The skinny scaled being ordered, slow down, Tuolu will attack them first and heavily injure them. All right. The stronger-looking undying was obviously excited. Kai, the 2 undying scaled beings extended their 2 claws. Mad undying energy began to gather within, condensing and forming a fire god core crystal kind of attack. The fire god core crystals were incredibly condensed undying crystals, melded into a crystal and used to detonate into an explosion. Even an emperor-level undying wouldn't have the ability to condense enough energy to form a core crystal-level kind of power. Kill. The two undyings swiftly flashed forward and the 20-sector lords immediately followed. As they drew closer, the two undyings were already prepared to unleash their undying energy balls. Qiusha race, bloodthirsty and proficient in battle. Luo Feng thought. Two undyings and 20-sector lords, quite troublesome. Condensed undying energy. Ha ha, hurry and collect the spoils, once we are done we will return to our base. Captain Tai Wo laughed and said. This battle was easy enough. Illusionist Wei laughed. Back to the nest. Poison cheered. We can finally rest. The white-robed god smiled. The group of sector lords swiftly collected the floating goods about. Luo Feng pretended to look about. Suddenly he stared into the distance and shouted to the group, enemies. Enemies? Where? We haven't even battled for 3 minutes and others have come. Tai Wo, Poison and the others all looked in the direction of where Luo Feng was looking. In the distance, 2 beams of lights were rushing over. Condensed undying energy attack. Tai Wo's expression changed as he immediately raised his hands. Rumble. Rumble. 2 light pillars shot out from Tai Wo's hands headed straight for the 2 beams of light. Tai Wo simultaneously shouted, retreat, hurry and retreat. The sector lord team swiftly began to flee. Rumble. His 2 light pillars clashed instantly with the condensed undying flame energy, creating a terrifying explosion. The powerful undying energy instantly tore through up to 1,000 kilometers of space, rippling in all directions. Luckily Luo Feng had warned them quick enough and Tai Wo reacted quickly, hence their team was far enough to be slightly hit by the ripples without anyone getting injured. This undying energy. Tai Wo's expression changed. This flame undying energy. Poison, who was originally serious, suddenly began to grow enraged as he shouted hoarsely, it's them. It's them. The most collected of the team, Tornado felt the flame undying energy, and even his expression grew mad. One had to know that every undying energy was unique. His eyes grew bloodshot as he howled, it's that flesh-eating freak, that flesh-eating freak. The flesh-eating freak. Demon Lady and Wei, the 2 illusionists, changed their expressions too. Mad Wu. God. Hammer. The Captain Tai Wo. They all flew into a frenzy. What's going on? Luo Feng and Rock were stunned. Madman, Rock, that team is our sworn enemy, don't hold back, use everything to kill them. Kill all of them flesh-eating freaks. Tai Wo ordered. 7th brother. 7th brother. Poison howled as tears welled up in his eyes. He could never forget the scene of the number 2 of their team back then, 7th brother, risking his life to save them from that undying scaled being. He finally died and was even eaten before the team. Poison had gone mad back then. Kill. Kill. Captain Tai Wo and the 7 old members all were enraged, charging straight into the distance. Luo Feng and Rock naturally followed. A group of lights shot over too. Ha ha, they actually didn't flee. We knew it was the bunch of humans that survived back then. I didn't expect you all to come and fight. The 2 undying scaled beings were excited as they laughed. They were very clear of the enemy's strength. This human team only had 1 undying that was harder to deal with. Back then, there was another fighter that was very powerful, able to match up to an undying. However, he was still finally eaten by Tuo Lu. 2 teams. One with 1 undying and 9 sector lords. Another with 2 undyings and 20 sector lords. Both met in space and almost instantly clashed. Children, kill them all, eat them all. The intrepid scaled undying cackled as he ordered. Yes. Yes, Lord. The group of sector lord beings laughed madly, all wielding blades and knives etc., all extremely fast and nimble as they rushed forward. Ah! Poison's voice was hoarse, his expression manic as he howled. The originally 1m tall little childlike being instantly grew stronger and bigger, his body began to shoot out dark green vines that madly spread in all directions. He flipped his hand and brandished a colorful potion that was instantly swallowed by the vines. Grow! Poison roared, die! Rumble! Poison had already grown into a 12m tall giant, his chest glowing with a glaring engraving gold light. That light shone on the vines. The dark green vines that had absorbed the potion began to go through a special change along with Poison. The originally dark green vines grew a layer of gold membrane over it. 3,621 years. Seventh brother died for us. I've been making potions every day and studying them. Finally I succeeded in making one that can combine with my plant life form, all for this day, all for this day. Go and die, all of you. Poison howled, a total of 72 vines, almost like 72 gold snakes pierced through space and madly waved about. The two scaled sector lords originally rushing at him were instantly wrapped by two vines. Pu Kai. They were instantly torn to shreds, causing their internal life core to break. Their internal worlds collapsed and countless items flew out. It's you. You ate seventh brother. Go and die. The manic giant Poison howled as he stared at the stronger-looking scaled undying. Rumble! 72 huge vines covered in gold membrane shot through 1,000 kilometers, all aiming towards that undying. Kill! Taiwo was engaged in battle with that intrepid scaled undying too. Madness! The battle had reached its climax in an instant. Fu Wei-san, this little punk is stronger than before. The stronger-looking scaled undying suddenly brandished a 3m long flame red blade as he spoke. I'll handle the human undying, you settle that, chemist. All children kill the human sector lords. A 100m long chain appeared in his hands as flames burned about it. That chain was like a black fire dragon dancing in space. Understood. The other undying laughed. Kill. Kill. The manic little sector lord-scaled beings all wielded their weapons and clashed with the humans. The most intense battle was without doubt Poison against the stronger-looking scaled undying Tuolu. Rumble. 72 gold vines madly rushed at Tuolu. The surrounding space was torn apart, but Tuolu maintained his manic laughter. He instantly unleashed his law domain, causing countless flames to fill the area. They burned the vines and even Poison himself. Go and die. Poison howled, bearing with the flames. Ha ha, little punk, you think you can use the plant life form to kill me at sector lord level? Tuolu smiled manically. The scales on his face shifted as he attacked the vines about him ferociously. The fiery blade kept flashing. Almost like a huge fire wheel, it knocked away the large amounts of vines around, even knocking away the gold membrane and slashing through one of the vines. Some of the gold membranes that were torn apart quickly regrew new ones. Under the attack of the huge fire wheel, the many gold membranes began to dissipate and the vines were being cut. Howl! The dark green vine let out a painful thought. Amo, give it your all. Even if we die, we have to kill him, kill him. Poison's expression was manic. The plant life form was extremely loyal. The moment it recognized its owner, it would die along with him. Since the owner was giving his all, this plant would naturally not hesitate. Rumble! Gold membrane vines pierced through the space and wrapped about Tuolu. There were vines being cut all around, however they would join with the broken pieces. Its regenerative speed was quite fast. However, every time it got cut, the damage to the plant was huge. Amo. Poison howled. Powerless. He could feel, against this ugly scaled undying, he was disadvantaged. I'm still not strong enough. Even though I've successfully killed an undying before, that was one that used a large hammer, he had no way to cut Amo. He was finally worn out by Amo. Poison teared as he stared hard at the enemy, roaring within, Seventh brother, I will definitely kill him, definitely. Poison's battle was very intense, however the other old members were just as fatigued. Every one of them had 2 to 3 sector lords attacking them. These beings were bloodthirsty and intrepid. Maybe alone they were no match for the humans, but with 2 to 3 of them together, it wore out the members. Illusions have little effect on them, Demon Lady said anxiously. Hammer wielded a shield and large hammer, protecting her beside him. These flesh-eating freaks, their home is filled with massacre. They've been killing since young, and have grown up in such an atmosphere. They've long become used to such a demeanor, it's in their bones. Hypnotizing them is hard, we can only kill. I've killed one. Mad Wu was in a dangerous place too, he was being attacked by 4 of them at a time. Harming them is useless. Rock said urgently. Damaging them is useless. Rock, if you don't destroy their life core, even if their bodies explode, they can reform. The moment you pierce their bodies, you have to destroy their life core. God said anxiously. The battle reached a crazy level. Madman. Madman, help. Madman, hurry, Poison is risking his life, he's in the most danger. The Captain Tai Wo was extremely urgent. Luo Feng gazed about after killing 2 sector lords. The gold Nan Shen blade instantly became a splendid gold light, and tore through space before vanishing. The gold light appeared and pierced through a sector lord scaled being's chest, destroying its energy crystal. Rumble. Large amounts of items poured out. Shua. The gold light flashed again, and another scaled being stared wide-eyed with its mouth opened wide, revealing cold fangs, its gaze dimming. Luo Feng used his strength. Even though he hadn't unleashed much, it was still akin to a normal undying strength. The Nanshan gold blade that could pass through the slits of space killed at a shocking speed. 10 sector lord scaled beings were instantly killed within 3 seconds. The many scaled bodies floated in space, their internal worlds collapsed and countless items filled the area. Madman sure is powerful. Powerful. The other sector lord members couldn't help but get shocked. It was actually not that easy for an undying to massacre so many sector lords in the battlefield. One had to see the type. If a fighter undying wanted to kill 10 sector lords, it would be a troublesome thing. And Luo Feng however used the Nan Shen blade that was proficient in chasing down and killing others. What? The intrepid scaled undying stuck with Tai Wo, Fu Wi-san, was shocked to see the distant black-armored human, Nan Shen armament. 9th form. Fu Wei-san, there's one in the team akin to an undying. The other scaled undying Tuo Lu was shocked too. What do we do? Retreat. Fu Wei-san ordered. The tables had turned. The humans now had 3 undying strengths. They only had 2. And the human side had the other sector lords. While they wouldn't be able to kill them, they could weaken and affect them. You can't run. Luo Feng had just killed 10 sector lord scaled beings in one breath. He immediately controlled the gold blade to rush at the scaled undying Tuo Lu that was fighting the dark green vines. The gold blade vanished and appeared 300 meters away, and them immediately 2 behind Tuo Lu. It instantly pierced at his armor, the armor however blocked it. The powerful force within the Nan Shen gold blade caused a huge vibration within his body. His 2 blades were affected and the dark green vines immediately rushed in, wrapping around the undying Tuo Lu. An undying's defense sure is strong. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed in the distance. Looks like the first level of the 9th form doesn't have much effect. The Nan Shen armament's 9th form, a match against undying, could actually be split into 3 levels. Its power too could be split into passing the heavenly bridges 13th, 14th and 15th level. Of which the first level, when unleashed would vanish occasionally, able to travel through the slits of space and reappear. The distance it could do so was short, only a few hundred meters. The travel distance was very short, hence the attack power was only average, at most harming a normal undying. Normally unleashing the first level was enough to affect an undying, causing him to be unable to chase back. One would be able to survive against an undying. The second level had a huge increase in power, the distance it could vanish for would get even further. Both levels had a weakness though. When it traveled through the slits of space, it would have law ripples. An undying proficient in space law would be able to sense this ripple, and easily dodge and defend against it. Only the third level. Its power increased by leaps and bounds. Its travel distance would reach over 1 million kilometers. And only then would its travel reach the level of true teleportation, without a sense of space ripple, making it undetectable. Of course, it's only the weapon being teleported, and that was obviously much easier than the teleportation of one's body. Even so, it was the maximum power of the Nanshan armament. However, it's obvious that this scaled undying's space comprehension is very weak. He cannot seem to detect the space ripples. Luo Feng's gaze flashed coldly. The Nanshan armament cannot harm me. The undying Tuo Lu howled, beginning to defend against the dark green vines and flee. A gold light flashed. It once again pierced at Tuo Lu's body. With experience from before, he was filled with confidence. However, after that he felt a terrifying force pass through his body, whirring. It caused his undying body to shake and make it almost crumble, his hands going completely numb. The dark green vines once again wrapped about him. 72 heavily damaged vines shrank swiftly and became the thickness of an arm, wrapping madly about Tuo Lu. Tuo Lu struggled madly. However, in terms of strength, with the special form of the 72 vines combined, it was much stronger than him. Go and die. Poison immediately went mad as he howled. The last undying died just like that. You are set to die. Tuo Lu's bones were constricted till they broke apart, after which large amount undying energy exploded from within. The 72 vines, however, had formed a dark green cage covered in gold light, without a single slit. It completely trapped his undying energy within. If he had reached the level of undying body, he could have disintegrated and slipped out. However, he hadn't reached that level. If the damage was too severe and his spirit imprint was destroyed, that would be the end. Howl, pain and rage rang from within the dark green cage, dissipating after a while. The undying Tuo Lu had fallen. Seventh brother. Poison raised his head and howled. His throat had gone completely hoarse as tears flowed down his eyes. He knelt before the dark green vines. Part 1 end here.